Afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are safe. As we unlock the economy and slowly open up key sectors, one major question always arises in each household with toddlers. When will they be able to go back to the ground? When will they be able to parallel side of education as well as entertainment for the toddlers on a platform together and answer some of your key questions. Before we move into the panel members, key points to remember for this session. We request all participants to remain in listen only mode. You can ask your question through chat or raise of hands in the system. We will not be discussing any individual institutions PNL over here. So please refrain from asking any questions around that. Moving straight to our panelist. First panelist that we have is Naya. She founded Baby Chakra in 2015. Baby Chakra is the largest pregnancy and parenting app with 2 million plus moms, and the ticker is always on for it. Mentor at Facebook's flagship program to support and accelerate Indian women founders in tech. She started Baby Chakra after graduating from the Harvard Business School. Naya, I will not waste much time. Over to you.
Hi, thanks everyone. Thanks Atul for having me. And great to be amongst such an incredible group of people talking about, I think, what is one of the most important topics today, the impact of COVID on the sector of maternity and childcare. Quickly before I start off, am I audible to all?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Okay, super. So, you know, what I was thinking I do with the next minute and a half is quickly introduce Baby Chakra to those who are new to the platform, and then sort of dive into some of the impact that we've experienced through the period of COVID and what we're sort of predicting post-COVID as well, right? As Atul said, we started Baby Chakra about 4.5 years back with the whole premise on how do you create a platform that is a companion to parents in India, specifically young mothers, and how do you guide them in a very intelligent, extremely personalized and Indianized way through the journey of pregnancy and parenting. Therefore, to do that, we've done is we've always, of course, had a digital first approach. We've built out large communities of parents and healthcare professionals who've been on the platform. And through the journey of pregnancy and parenting in extremely personalized, very, very relevant ways. So literally down to, you know, what life stage you're at, your child is at, which locality you come from, what language do you, what kind of interest do you have? We're able to personalize the entire platform, right? The reason, of course, personalization is so important is because we truly believe on the fact that every individual, every family is truly unique and they have very specific individualized needs. I think what we're extremely excited by and continue to be excited by is the fact that, of course, India is demographically shifted also to a land of nuclear families. And I think, you know, we all see this. I think all of us are building companies on the same premise, which is parents are coming online in very meaningful ways to seek for care and to seek for support, right? So yeah, so that's really been the story of Baby Chakra. I think there have been 2 or 3 trends that we have seen, you know, we were extremely excited about, and I think they've also at the same time concerned us in the true COVID period. I think the first trend we've seen is that while Baby Chakra is of course always focused on you know, health, wellness, and nutrition, given it's the period of life that we cover, at the paradigm that we cover of pregnancy and early childcare, there have of course been very, very sharp spikes through the period of the last 3 months, right? And I think it's because of 2 very key reasons. Number one, goes without saying, for the first time, I think as a nation, we've been made a lot more cognizant of our mortality. Secondly, of course, if you look at, we have, I think, the Prime Minister who's been espousing the cause is one of the most active community members on all things related to nutrition, to immunity building, to hygiene, to health, right? And to wellness in a very meaningful way. You also, of course, seeing public health budgets really accelerate in spends at an unprecedented level. And I think, therefore, the attention of the entire economy sort of shifts to, solving for what is today a problem statement, I mean, a global pandemic that we're trying to solve for. And that sort of reflects down to the family unit as well, right? So, and I think, and therefore coming down to the family unit that we serve, while the Prime Minister is sort of the community champion of all things health, wellness, nutrition, the mother is the frontline worker, right, in her family unit. And therefore, Baby Chakra, as a result, is seeing, unprecedented spikes in health, wellness, nutrition, in all its conversations, in the live chats, in the Q&As that we offer on our platform to our parents. The second thing that we're seeing is also the fact that, frankly, if you look at healthcare services and healthcare offerings, doctors' clinics, OPDs, hospitals, right, they're no longer accessible. And I think in a very unprecedented step, and something that for the last 10 years, having worked in healthcare in the past myself, we've been demanding is how do you sort of take healthcare online in a very meaningful way and increase access dramatically. And now with the MCI guidelines being revised, you're actually seeing sort of access, again, opening up in a very, very unprecedented way, right? And we're actually having more of our doctors who are partners in our ecosystem, pediatricians, gynecologists, developmental pediatricians, child specialists, dermatologists, etc., turning to platforms like Baby Chakra saying, can you help me access and reach out to more of my existing patient base in a very meaningful digital first way, as well as with new databases, can I reach out to them on a platform like Baby Chakra, right? So I think we're, again, secondly, seeing not just the demand, but also the supply of things around healthcare, immunity, nutrition move very, very drastically online in a very unprecedented manner. The third thing, of course, is the fact that, schools are closed. Baby Chakra has the privilege of being part of the Early Childhood Association, founding committee. And I think what we've seen is that in all our conversations with preschools, play schools, we don't sort of predict schools opening for the next 4, 5, 6 months easily, right? And I think parents are not going to be taking any chances with schools opening as well and having to send the children to school. So I think what we're seeing at the same time is that the burden of childcare and child rearing is falling disproportionately on parents. At the same time, parents continue to work from home. And this entire support structure that they built out around childcare and child rearing has completely broken down, right? Schools were a very, very important component and a partner in childcare and child rearing, right? So I think, again, what we're seeing is a demand for more and more digital solutions, again, at an accelerated pace where parents are still trying to understand what this new paradigm looks like, because for the longest time, we've been told that digital and, screens are bad for kids. But right now, it's the preschools are coming back and saying, you know what, in limited quantity with high quality, screens are good, right? So I think this entire sort of discrepancy, as well as this question that's come up right now, is actually one of the most burning topics on Baby Chakra that we hear from the community and we hear from our parents. So I think these are the three themes we see play out. The first, the focus on health, wellness, nutrition, immunity, products, and questions. Number two, the rapid digitization of healthcare, both on the supply and the demand side, especially when you think about the parenting and the pregnancy ecosystem and the child care ecosystem. And the third, sort of the disproportionate burden of childcare, child rearing, child education, early childhood stimulus that's now coming on parents' shoulders, right? And I think big questions around how do we ensure that the partners that existed, the traditional partners that existed in schools and preschools and daycares, how do they today play a role? So I think these are the open questions. I'm happy to answer, of course, more as we go through the session together.
Thanks, Naya. Thanks. This was quite helpful. We have Vinod, founder of the famous Choo Choo TV, which I'm sure 90% of the parents with kids in the age group of 1 to 8 years already have it in their, I'm a big fan of Choo Choo TV with 2 kids. Choo Choo TV has 65 million plus subscribers and is one of the top 20 channels globally on YouTube. And is also available across 12 languages. Vinod, over to you.
Hi guys, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So a small intro about Choo Choo TV. I know everyone mostly knows about Choo Choo TV. We are edutainment content creator on YouTube. for age group 0 to 8. So we are not only on YouTube, we are on other platforms as well, including Netflix, Amazon Prime, Kidoodle, and our own Chuchu TV Lite and Pro apps. So coming to the today's session, so I don't want to talk much about the company. Right now, I would like to share what has happened to the company during the COVID. See, basically, one great thing which has happened is the viewership has been surging in this COVID times. I would say all our channels on YouTube, on our apps have been, getting more than 30 to 40% of increase in viewership, across the network, and which is a great thing. So that is one positive thing in this COVID situation. And on the business, the advertisers are not, coming much on to YouTube. So since YouTube, although we are on other platforms, YouTube is one of the major revenue generators for us. So since the advertisers are not coming to YouTube because of this COVID, so we are facing a challenging situation in terms of revenue. However, we are actually, doing various other things to, increase the revenue. So we have actually partnered with Fun School India, and this week we have launched, a group of toys with them. So we are trying to monetize as much as possible across the board. And there has been a huge surge in our subscription-based service as well, which is Chuchu TV Pro app. And we have seen the viewership and subscription go by almost 200% in the past few months. And we get around 200,000 downloads, and the conversion rate has been fantastic. Around 15 to 20% is the conversion rate. I mean, like the free users to subscribers. That has been pretty good. So basically, I would like to say why we want to, so everyone says, why YouTube? So because the users are there. There is no single platform in the world which is competing with YouTube for content. So, right. So that's the reason we always, have YouTube as our primary place to grow our audience. And now we have our own apps. Now we are on some premium platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime. However, YouTube is always and will be our major, place to, upload our content. Coming to the COVID situation, yes, there has been a lot of, even my children have been starting the homeschooling. One is actually 8-year-old and the other is 10-year-old. And they have been, getting these online classes. And most of, content from YouTube has been used in the preschools and even the middle school. My daughter is getting videos from channels like Khan Academy and stuff, and preschools are getting content from Chuchu TV, and there are some other good channels as well from India and away from India. And schools have been using our content in a big way during this COVID-19 lockdown. Other than that, that's it. We have lots of things to do in the next 12 to 16 months. We have recently launched, new series. We are into long form content right now. So we have started a new series named Storytime Adventures, which is targeting, 4 to 10 age group. So wherein we want to teach good values to the children. So we want to, use stories to teach them moral values, how to be brave, how to share, care for others, and all these, good stuff. So we launched the first episode last week, and within a week, we've crossed that video got 1 million views on YouTube, and which is a great start for us because most of our content are targeted between 0 to 5 till recently. So it is from the recent times we have started to increase the age group because we want our consumers, the little ones, to grow with our content. So we have increased the age group of our content till 10 as of now. So, and we are seeing some very good success with the long form content. And that's it. I think I would like to talk more when some questions are asked. So that's it about Chuchu TV as of now.
Thank you very much, Vinod. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next that we have is Arun Prasad, founder of Flinto Box. He founded this in 2013 and currently has 1 million plus active users. He was previously with Samson. What is more interesting that in these testing times, if you need something which is creative for the kids from home, then Flinto Blocks is the play. And for most parents who believe that screen time has to be limited, then again, they need to go for something like a Flinto box. Arun, over to you.
Hey, Atul. Thank you so much for the introduction. So for people that, in fact, first of all, very, very fortunate and lucky to be talking to a large group of people here, especially in these trying times. So for people that are not familiar with, first of all, Atul, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, I am. Okay, thank you. So people that are not familiar with Flinto and Flinto Box, so Flinto is one of the fastest growing early learning platform, and we are also getting to be the largest in terms of number of families touched across India right now. And Flinto as a company, we focus on hands-on learning and engagement, and especially for kids under the age of 10, although our sweet spot is really under 8 years. And the way we look at it, early learning, especially between the ages of, let's say, 1.5 and 7 years, the two spaces where kids spend a lot of time today are home and I would say the preschools and the kindergarten. I mean, this is where kids spend inordinate amount of time. And Flinto as a company, we address the needs of the children, the early learning needs of the children at both these places. In fact, Flinto Box, which is our direct-to-consumer segment, addresses the kids' needs, within at home, and Flinto Class, which is a product through which we cater to children in preschools. Now, Flinto Box is designed as an unstructured, play-based, creative learning for children, which is more independently engagement. And Flinto Class is designed as a support system for preschools, where we support the preschools and educators through curriculum, activities, technologies, and operations to help them deliver a world-class program in line with standards such as NACI and EYFS. So these two programs, kind of complement each other for a child going through the entire Flinto experience. And both of them have a pan-India presence for us. And in fact, Flinto Class is also having a global presence in other countries where schools are using Flinto Class to support their entire preschool system. So fortunately or unfortunately, we have seen the impacts and the trends in both at home and preschools. And I would say we have been in the thick of the changes that have been going on in both these places. We've been very actively, I would say, watching and analyzing the trends that we are seeing, and understanding the consumer behavior changes happening in these places. So I can share my thoughts and observations I've found in both, how the consumer behaviors are changing, both within the premise of a home and also at a preschool segment. At home, we have, what we are seeing is, again, personally, I think we've started seeing a huge demand for DIY engagement with the children, and because there is a slight overload of digital presence, especially during these days, people are actively looking for opportunities to engage the kids away from the screens also. And this is where Flinto is gaining a lot of traction over the last few weeks now, especially after the logistics lockdown was also lifted. And I think we are continuing to ramp up our, I would say, engagement in that area. When it comes to the preschool segment, I think I probably share the same view that Naya and Atul had, where we think it's going to take quite a while for kindergarten and preschools, preschool, standalone preschools and the kindergarten segments of large schools to get operational. And even if they get operational, I think there's going to be a lot of operational challenges for the next 12 months. So, I don't even think it's going to be, wise or easier to run a preschool or a kindergarten over the next year or so. And we believe that home is probably a safer place for our children for the next, I would say, even 6 to 12 months, where kids can actually continue learning. And because we had the good fortune of actually working with, I would say we have worked with more number of preschools than anyone, in the world has worked. And we had been able to understand both the perspective of educators and the parents and the teacher and the kids as to what is it that they should be doing and learning within the spaces. So what we are in the middle of right now is we just rolled out a platform where we're bringing the preschool to the home, because the way we designed Flinto Class itself was, we wanted to Flinto Class to be a very comprehensive program where whether you are running it in a classroom or in your living room or under a tree, it shouldn't make a difference. And that's exactly how we designed Flinto Class, by the virtue of which we are now taking Flinto Class direct to home, and also through schools and preschools, where we have seen both parents directly subscribing to a complete preschool program directly sent to the home, and we're also seeing schools reaching out to us, requesting for supporting their kindergarten and preschools to be run from home, where we can work with them also. I think both these trends are shaping up really well, but I would say over the next 3 months we will have a much better understanding of which of these consumer behaviors are here to stay and which ones would change faster. But I would given what we have right now, we can easily make an assumption of there's a 6 to 12 month runway before which the kindergarten and the preschools can become or come to normal operations. And of course, happy to share any other thoughts or specific questions you may have on these areas.
Thanks, Arun. Arun, this was helpful. The next panelist that we have today is the creator of Dholakpur, founder and MD of Green Gold Animation, creator of Chhota Bheem, and many cartoon characters. Rajiv, in the last 7 days, I have seen probably Chhota Bheem for at least 15 to 20 minutes on a daily basis, trying to entertain my kids. And there has been probably no other Indianized version of cartoon which has entertained kids so well, with more than 100 million viewers. Rajiv, can you please throw some light?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Adul. So first of all, it's a pleasure to be talking to all of you guys, and hope everybody here, everyone is safe and the families are safe. So before talk about like what is currently we are handling or what is the new challenges we are facing, I'll just go back a little, 20 years ago or 18, 19 years ago, pretty much when things were really amazing. We didn't have to wear masks or anything. We didn't have Zoom calls or video calls as much. Skype was the only thing. So about 2001 or 2001, actually, my journey began in the animation space. And one of the first things, my observation for the Indian market was that, hey, we need to create something original for Indian kids. We need to create something that Indian audiences would love to see and would connect with. Till then, back then, there was only one television station in India, that was Cartoon Network, and they would get to watch, the kids are getting to watch something, whatever is international, and everything is imported. So that was the first challenge on our hands. How do you sell Indian animation to these networks which have seen high quality animation? So that's where our journey began, and we had our first success with Doordarshan. In fact, we created a show called Bongo. In 2004, it aired. It did pretty good on the ratings, and then we did Bongo was a hybrid show of live action and animation. Then we did Vikram Betal in 2005 with Cartoon Network. That was our first breakthrough, and Cartoon Network was pretty happy to show something Indian on their network, and they loved the story of Vikram Betal. So it was easy because we are already, there's a base for Vikram Betal, everybody knew. Then we made Krishna movie series in 2006 and 7 again for Cartoon Network. And then I think once Cartoon Network and local channels saw that content that is being made in India is rating very well, and Indians are accepting that, and it's rating probably 5 times higher than the international ones. So we got an opportunity with Chhota Bheem. So I've been pitching Chhota Bheem since 2004. Finally, by 2008, we were able to sell. And it first aired on April 6, 2008. I think from there onwards, pretty much my life and my company's life turned upside down. And it was a different journey from there onwards. Bheem became the first character in many ways. So it it did not become an overnight sensation. It took about 6 months to a year for people to know that there's such a character, and so it took some time. But in this 6 months to a year, we also realized that Beam is pretty much, it's a huge hit across India, across which, no matter which region of India you belong to, also a big hit in Indian subcontinent, other countries also. That's when we realized that journey for Beam lies not just for television content, but also for licensing and merchandising, toys and other stuff, comic books and stuff. So that's in 2009 we started working towards this, but we realized that there's nobody out there who can license or distribute or create content. So we had to do everything ourselves, from doing the designs, getting the manufacturer, going to different parts of India or to Hong Kong to get certain products that will appeal to children. So we went about, and then in 2-3 years we realized the business of licensing merchandise was pretty huge by itself, and we ended up opening a company to run the business of licensing and merchandise for the character of Chhota Bheem and other characters that we have created. So it was a pretty interesting journey. And while we started out, and the 2008, it was still, there was pretty much no HD or stuff. It was still SD 725, 76. And the content that was created, I mean, there was no digital uploads and stuff. It was on beta tapes and stuff. So one of the early challenges that we had was, now the world is changing, and we've seen the YouTubes and other channels coming up. So we had to keep an eye on everything. So like we started focusing on licensing and merchandises. We started focusing on digital platforms as well. And one of the first early ambitions that we set for ourselves was to someday get on Netflix and do a Netflix original show. So, so while, in those days, there was no BARC. BARC is the one that gives TV ratings. There was something called as TAM. And TAM never gave that. The data was pretty spread out. So 2 to 14 were considered children, 2 years to 14 years. And there was nobody understood what is preschool or what is kids or, tweens or, young adults or teens. So that categorization was not there. So we used to get data that Chhota Bheem is the #1 show in the country for kids, but age group is 2 to 14. So that was the first challenge in figuring out like who is the actual audience who is watching these shows. So we had to do our own research and those kind of things to understand. And we found out that majority of our fans were in the age group of 4 to 6. And then they were pretty much, a lot of these guys were starting to watch from 2 years old and stuff. And we put out a lot of content on YouTube, and although we never put any episode till date on YouTube of Bheem, we just started putting clips, and it became a rage by itself. But we never actually focused on that. Like I mentioned, one of the early ambitions for us was to get onto Netflix. So from 2012, we've been trying to get into Netflix, and finally in 2016, we got our first meeting with Netflix, and we pitched Bheem to them, but we realized soon that they were looking for something more in the preschool area. Preschool, for the viewers, think usually it's the age group of kids who are usually between 0 to 4, that is 0 months to 4 years, or sometimes in different countries they categorize as 2 years to 6 years. So in every country it's a little different, but so these toddlers actually, toddlers or these preschoolers who are under the age of 6 usually are extremely sharp, and the mind is pretty is working, and observing information like nobody's business, and Einstein actually said that, if you want your children to be smart, read them fairy tales, and if you want your children to be more smart, read them more fairy tales. That's very simple. So he explained that when the kids are started to imagine, their mind expands, and once the mind expands, it never shrinks back to the original size. So in today's world, we realize that today, now with both the parents working, usually they have no time for the kids. Usually the child is in the care of the grandparents. That is also disappearing in cities, because usually you have a maid who's looking after the kid. So basically the kid is not getting the benefit of the stories and benefit of storytelling from the grandchildren or parents. That's when that's when people that's where the entertainment comes in. And I feel personally it's very important for the young toddlers to keep watching different content, content that makes them imagine and do the different things. So when we did something like this, we focused on recreating Chota Bheem, who is originally a 9-year-old character, to a preschool character or a toddler character who's about 12 months old. So we recreated the whole thing. We had an opportunity to recreate the entire setting of Dholakpur, and a few of the characters who were older than Bheem, we brought them into the show. So when we went back to Netflix with the idea of Mighty Little Bheem, where Bheem is a toddler, they loved it and they immediately signed on to a show. And that's when in 2019, which was last year, we released Mighty Little Bheem on Netflix, which became in fact, Asia's first Netflix original for kids, and India's first as well. And initially, when we made the show, we knew it'll do well, but we never imagined that this show will go on to become the #1 preschool show on Netflix in 190 countries. That's something that we did not imagine to happen, and being watched in 27 million households across the world. So something like this, came as a surprise to us, and it was #2 in kids and family, second only to Boss Baby, DreamWorks Boss Baby. So we're pretty thrilled actually to be in the likes of to competing with the likes of DreamWorks and other big world players. So it got us really excited. Now we've started planning newer things. We have realized that India is not just the market for us, the world is. While our #1 focus will continue to remain India and the Indian subcontinent, we realized there are a lot of other opportunities also. And we also felt that it is not like we have to do Western stories. Mighty Little Bheem was an example of an Indian story being told in to the international audience. And that's actually opens a door for not just us, for everybody in Indian animation studios, creators, writers, everyone, that Indian stories will be viewed across the world. So with this comes many more opportunities. Then suddenly comes COVID. COVID suddenly, we had great plans and we had no time to prepare. In the March 22nd, I think everybody knows. Suddenly this whole thing comes, and we have almost about 1,200 artists working across India in 3 offices, pretty much in Hyderabad, in Kolkata, and Rajahmundry. And suddenly we realized that we cannot produce animation anymore, and we got totally scared. Like, how do we meet our client deliverables? How do we deliver to channels? What will kids watch on television? They've been waiting for new shows on Pogo channel to watch new episodes of Chota Bheem, and we keep getting this on Twitter and other platforms. That's when first 2-3 days it looked like we panicked, but our IT team was able to figure out solutions, and within a week we got pretty much 70% of our staff from working from home. It was a massive operation. We got everything done, and then we were able to get everything, and we were able to start working. And now things are, of course, working smoothly. Now I realize that now the future, we are all going to be working much differently. Yesterday I was on a advisory board for AVCGI industry for India, and there was from the top IAS officers in the country, and then everybody was talking about building new infrastructure, offices, and I'm like thinking, oh my God, the world is changing now. I think it's everything. A lot of these things now will start to happen from home. What we will need is a great internet connection, a great computer, a high-end computer for artists, and we have all started to think differently. And I think COVID has it's kind of, in the long run, I think it's a blessing in disguise. It is making suddenly everyone realize the value of family, the value of creativity, value of children. It's amazing to be. I have 3 children, and I'm totally spent time with them. Last 18-20 years, I was working like crazy, and suddenly now I realize. Yeah,
Rajiv, I know you are passionate, and
okay.
We all love Chota Bheem, but we have at least 15 questions on my inbox right now. So, I am sorry, but we need to move.
No problem.
panel member, and we need to take the questions so that we can address them.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Next panel member is an investor in this space, Prashant Mehta, partner at Lightbox Venture, 400 million plus venture capital fund focused on early stage consumer technology businesses. Prashant, please go ahead.
Thanks, Atul, and thanks for the opportunity. In the interest of time, I'll keep it brief. Just a little bit about Lightbox. As Atul mentioned, we're a venture fund. We've been very active in the consumer space, but we've been even more active in education. As a fund, our philosophy has been to put all of our energy and capital, for that matter, and invest behind very few entrepreneurs and really partner with the entrepreneurs in helping them build their vision, their dreams. We've been fortunate to have invested 25% of our second fund, which has been the main fund that we've been investing out of up until recently, in education. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. The first investment, in fact, we made was in a company called Imbibe, which a couple of years ago was bought by Reliance, and has now become the cornerstone for them in terms of their education strategy. And the second one was FlintoBox, you heard from Arun. And I think through these experiences, we've gained tremendous insights into the education space. And the one thing that I'll just mention for as a starter is that given where the focus is for this conversation today, only 15% of the investment dollars are going towards early learning and development. And that's really sad. Where we all know 85% of the brain develops, and so many of the core developmental skills, as Arun has made it clear to make sure we understood this, happens during the ages of 0 to 8. And yet very little investment has gone in, which one of the key reasons what we were excited about getting in, at the ground level with Flinto. So we believe there's a massive mismatch in this space. And given where COVID is and the impact of that in the economy with parents, we think there's not a better time for education to be disrupted wholesale, but more specifically in this space. Just think, all of us, many of us are parents, our lives are changing. We've gone from, leaving our kids either in a preschool or with a nanny and coming back late in the evenings to now becoming part-time educators, and in many cases, some of us may even lose our jobs under the situation. And so the role that parents are going to play is going to dramatically change, which we think is, again, a great opportunity for investing in this space and thinking about new ideas that are going to emerge. I'll just say that the 5 things that we're focused on as we think about education, in particular the early years, are 1, data. This is the time to collect information, data, because so much change is happening at such a fast pace. Unless you're on top of it, you'll miss it. 2, digitization. And by the way, we don't think digitization means now turn on your TV or your laptop and put your kid in front of a device for 8 hours. It just means we need to use digital as a medium to enable some aspects of learning and development. Not all, not most, but some. We'll come back to that. 3, we believe that thinking about assessment about the key developmental needs is really important. We have the tools, and we believe that as parents and educators and the broader ecosystem should be thinking about, are our kids developing, in an appropriate manner? And again, it goes back to digitization. If they're sitting in front of a TV all day, trust me, they are not developing. So let's be very clear about the ways in which we galvanize the ideas to strike the right balance. 4th is really looking at it from a personalization point of view. Because of digitization, because of data, we can actually deliver individualized education, individualized learning, individualized development to every single child out there, not just in India, but anywhere in the world. And I think this is a phenomenal time to be thinking about that. And last but not least, I think what really excites us about this space, this age group, is that I think it is time for us to bring fun and creativity back into our kids' lives. And I know Rajiv has said this, Naya, Arun, a lot of us have said some similar threads. I think it's really important that we bring fun and creativity back into our kids' lives. With that, I'll stop, hand it back to you, Atul, and see if we can entertain some questions.
Thanks, Prashant. And thanks to all panel members right now for giving the brief. In fact, I've got, interesting and contrasting questions, let me put it this way. Naya, first one for you is that what is the right time period for a child to be in front of the screen? Because a lot of educators have said that their parents are asking this question time and again. And the contrast to this is, Rajiv, to you, which somebody has put up, is, are we going to expect a new series of Chhota Bheem on the current situation with a positive message so that kids can understand and learn it in a better way? So go ahead, please.
Okay, so big caveat up front. I'm not sort of trained or sort of professionally qualified to be an early childhood educator. That said, I've had the privilege of having worked and partnered with many of them across the board. And this is a very common question that comes up on Baby Chakra as well from the mothers of the community. The answer that we hear most, and I think the most sort of prevalent current understanding on this, is that from 2 years plus, a child can actually be exposed to quality content for a period of less than an hour a day, right? And the idea is not to, again, and no offense to any of the other panelists, the answer is not to have them exposed to sort of constantly running YouTube videos, etc. Again, like I said, no offense to other panelists, because I think they're a blessing in many ways to many of us parents. I think the idea is to have them exposed to things that actually help them think, develop their cognitive abilities, help them understand, reactions, actions, work with parents, and actually engaging with that content, right? So this is, I think, the dominant answer that most early childhood educators that I've had the privilege of working with have shared with parents and Baby Chakra.
Thanks, Naya. Thanks. This is helpful. And yes, we are aware that you are not an early childhood educator, but you have definitely the privilege of hearing it from many early childhood educators. Thanks, Naya. Rajiv, are we seeing?
Atul, can I add
Arun, please go ahead. If you have anything to add over here, please go.
I won't take much of a time. This is just basically because we are in the process of taking a preschool experience to home, and we have delved into research and understanding about how minimal can an online screen or screen experience can enable a child, right? So let's put it in two different buckets. One is where a child is really enjoying a content. Yes, as Naya said, maybe an hour is optimal experience, but in case where it's a pure learning experience, we're trying to teach a child through online medium, right? There are studies that shows that it's 4 times as stressful for a child to learn, through a digital space. So unless the content is very engaging, the content is very, fruitful for the child in terms of how fun it is for them to learn, it's not really advisable to keep it more than, let's say, 40-45 minutes of learning time as in screen time.
Thanks, Arun. I think it's a very valid point, and here, I will say that when my kids, see Baby Shaq-a-doo-doo, they really enjoy and they learn a lot. So, it's what sort of content that you show it to them also matters. Rajiv, a pressing question. Are we going to see something from Chhota Bheem or any of the other characters with a message current conditions?
Yeah, I think definitely we are working towards that. I'm trying to get a girl show out with Chutki as a lead character. I think India needs a girl hero, a girl character. And last 7 years, I've been trying to sell that, but it's been really difficult to do that. But with the advent of OTT platforms, where I think it is just a matter of time that will be out there. One of the realizations I did in the last 3 months in this lockdown's time is that kids are primarily looking, they have been restricted to home. And then the kids have, the most important thing is, while education is important, what is also important for them is any physical form of activity, be it dance, be it yoga or kung fu or kalari or whatever, some kind of cricket or whatever. But in the limitations that you cannot go out of your house and those kind of things, I think we have to make sure that the kids are physically active, using dance or or martial arts or something, practicing inside the house. So generally in our shows, we try to show some sort of physicality, some sort of physical exercises or sports. We encourage kids to sports. I think that's very important for the thing, besides the good message that you have to do good, take care of animals, and teach them about environment, teach them about traffic or pollution and those kind of things, or rainwater harvesting. And same time, we have to keep it entertaining. Otherwise, kids get bored in no time. So we're definitely looking at a new show. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Rajiv. I have a question from Priya. Priya, I'm unmuting you. Go ahead and ask your question. Priya, you are unmute. Please go and ask your question. I think Priya is facing some challenge. Meanwhile, I think Priya is facing some challenge. Meanwhile, there is another question, and which is for the panel members, Arun and Vinod. Do you have anything in specific as a pack for the educators, which they can take it to the kids, whether it is online? You all can take it one by one. Arun and Vinod.
So thanks, Atul. So in terms of for educators support, Flinto Class was originally designed to support educators and preschools to deliver, the preschool program at a global level. And what we have done, in the last 30, 40 days, last month and a half is we went ahead and designed a program called Flinto Class at Home. As I said, it's about taking the preschool experience to the home. With very minimal digital engagement. The digital is more for the parent to understand how to deliver rather than for the kids to sit and watch. And again, this is aided by hands-on learning material, because what we truly believe is, learning is not watching, learning is engaging. And especially when dealing with, early education, the learning has to be very hands-on engagement. So what we've done is, we have taken a complete month's curriculum, kit activity, everything to home, aided by digital delivery for the platforms. And what many schools and educators are doing is they're taking this as a platform and running their preschools and kindergarten on Flinto Class. In a very raw term, I would say they're outsourcing their preschool and kindergarten to Flinto Class at home.
Right. Thank you, Arun. Vinod, do you have some similar product, which is a pack available for our educators? Vinod, are you there? I think we have some connectivity issue with.
I think he's on mute.
Vinod, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, Vinod, go ahead. We'll take care of Vinod. We have a question from Aarti. How do we teach reading to kids, while they are at home, especially given they are toddlers? And then follow-up question that how do we take care of helicopter parenting? I think this is a question which I'm getting almost from all educators in all the panels that I'm working on. So anyone, with regards to how do we teach reading? Arun, do you have something in your pack, or Anaya, have you heard it on your platform?
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to just quickly kick off. So again, I believe it was Aarti who asked this question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Say, Aarti, it's a very common question. The way we typically, go about it is that, I mean, of course, reading starts with of course, the parents sitting and, getting the child into the habit of exploring books and sort of getting familiar with even, just understanding the concept of books and reading out loud. So the child typically sort of, mimics the parents' actions during the whole process of reading, right? So typically, a couple of things we've heard experts on Baby Chakra say, and by the way, Aarti, we have a bunch of live chats that happen every day with the top experts across health, wellness, education, and developmental milestones. So what we hear them say a lot is that dedicate for parents to dedicate some time with their children at home, reading them from a certain set of books that, again, I think we have a very comprehensive list by age on Baby Chakra of, right? And I think that sort of gets younger children inducted to the habit and to the practice of reading. Of course, I think the other second piece to this is that typically, again, reading is more is formalized once you enter into a more structured environment like a play school or a preschool. And I think that's when you sort of learn through sort of peer experiences and sort of peer stimulation. And sort of you see your peers as a child sort of, picking up alphabets and picking up smaller words and being able to sort of comprehend what that really means. So I think there are, I think there are different sort of gradations to this experience. I think I'd really suggest that, the entire process of reading, I think just starting off with ensuring your child gets this 1 hour dedicated over the period of the day of the parents sort of reading out to the child. I think that itself is a great induction to start off at home. I'm sure Arun has, of course, specific tips as well, given that he has a whole sort of, I'm sure you have materials starting from too.
Thanks, Naya. So Aarti, I can answer your questions, and I can throw a couple of perspectives. First, I don't know if it's an educator perspective or a parent perspective, and second is what's the age group that you were asking about. I can totally answer for an early learning segment where you're talking about let's say a pre-kindergarten phonics level, like a couple of words reading to how do you read like 2 words and 3 words. There are a lot of blogs, and even on flintobox.com there's a blog that actually has a series of reading books for kindergartners. It's a good reading log to have and reading list to have, and I think the parents are the best I would say pals of the kids at this time, because you're not going to get much reading help from others. So it's best to do that. And second is specifically at Flinto Class at Home, because we focus on along with fun, engaged learning, we also focus on school readiness. Active reading and active, I would say, pre-literacy and pre-writing are actually very active part of the program itself. And again, there's a lot of research that has gone into understanding how exactly the motor skills and the cognitive skills develop, and it's mapped to some of the best learning and reading practices across the world on Flinto Class at Home. So yes, there are, again, that's probably my 2 cents on this. And second, Atul, on the helicopter parenting, listen, I think it's a very interesting time, because see, in a normal time, we have not been the best advocates of helicopter parenting. I think kids should be free to do and free to explore, what they want to do, and which applies even today. The only thing is the landscape has changed so tremendously that kids are spending inordinate amount of time where the parents are also stressed equally about the whole situation, right? So yes, I think parents are getting used to the new reality of, some amount of screen time is a good screen time still, but it has to be still, parent monitored. It has to be, structured for the children. Otherwise, they really don't understand what is structured and what is. It's a parent's job. So I would say for really young kids, it's good that the parents are spending, some mind space about what the kids are exploring, what the kids are learning. But for older kids, I think we still believe that helicopter parenting is not very healthy, because this is going to stay for some more months, which means it will cause more pressure and stress within the family environment also then.
Thank you, Arun. This is helpful. Prashant, there is a mail that I have received that will you be investing in more education startups, especially at techs? And given that the age group of 0 to 10 in India is a population of 250 million plus people, and what we over the next 12 to 18 months, there will be a lot more people who will be needing funding. Are you open for that?
That's a good question. We're constantly looking at ideas in the space and across the full spectrum of education from early years. We think there's still so much more that needs to happen and can and should happen. And then, of course, the K-12 is complicated because it involves government and there's a bunch of other elements there. But then if you look at even post K-12, there's so much investment that's going to be required. A lot of people have, there's not a single day or a week that goes by where you don't hear about concepts like skilling, for example. And I think that COVID is really bringing out a lot of these issues front and center. And I think that in the next 3-6 months, when the dust starts to hopefully settle, and we all have a good sense of where this economy is, where are people with respect to jobs, I think a lot of us are going to wake up and say, shit, I got to go and actually retool myself. I have to reinvent myself. I have to do a makeover and figure out what I'm going to do next, for the next 5, 10, 20 years. And a lot of these elements will require different forms of learning, different forms of skilling, and how people deliver these aspects are going to also change. And so we think that there is a huge opportunity, and we're looking at ideas every day, even though we're sort of in Mumbai still in a very much of a lockdown mode. We've been probably as active, if not more, looking at new ideas. We have a thing where everybody that writes into us goes into our database, and the entire company evaluates every single idea. And then every Monday, we invite 2 to 3 entrepreneurs who come and pitch if they get enough votes. So we encourage people that have ideas in education, that think about things like data, customization, personalization, that have an ability to kind of create outcomes. And we're very keen to speak to you. Yep.
Thanks, Prashant. This is helpful. Vinod, quite a few questions which are coming. Do you have a data pack available for preschoolers?
Actually, everything is free on YouTube. I think many preschools are already using our content, everything right from alphabets to numbers to colors, everything. We have covered all the topics related to preschoolers in our channels. So everything is free from YouTube. So even yesterday I got a call from a school in Chennai whether they can use our content. I said it's on YouTube. You can just go ahead and use it for free. So it's already happening. So we don't have a specific, we are not selling anything specific with regards to this. But however, if we have also in touch with the some preschools who want to use our Pro app so that they can, use it in their smart TV, can download and use it on their smart TV. And those discussions are underway, and we'll be making some deals soon. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Vinod.
Yeah.
At this stage, I think we have already overshot our time. We are at 5:05. And I will just request the panel members to quickly give their closing comments, if any. Probably we'll begin in reverse order. Prashant, Rajiv, Vinod, Arun, and then last Naya. Please go ahead, panel members.
Thanks, Atul. Look, I think as I mentioned earlier, during this unprecedented time, we believe that no industry is ripe for disruption as much as education. Of course, a lot of the elements have to come together between the creators, a lot of you guys, on the panel, to some commitment and change from the government to change the curriculum. We think there's a huge need to change the actual curriculum, especially K-12. and we think that how we think about building companies is going to change. We're going to have to look at what are the needs of our customers, and their needs are changing, and they're changing faster and faster. So you may think you've got it right today, but we all have to be a lot more agile going forward. But we believe that there is a huge opportunity to invest in this space. We're seeing companies now that can actually make money in education. I remember when we first invested in Imbibe, people would say that there's no money in education, and I think, and I know some of you guys are laughing because you've all heard this before, but today, we are seeing real opportunity to not only create great unit economics in this space and revenue, but actually deliver phenomenal value. So we'll look forward to some good ideas in the next coming months.
Thanks, Prashant. Rajiv?
Yeah, I think they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and I think we are in the times that we have to find new methods in every area, be it education or entertainment. I think we are definitely I think the humans will find a way, of course, to fight COVID as well as find new methods and stuff. I think it's great for for all of us to use this time to find new methods and brainstorm on new ideas and new techniques, and you are figuring out how to use cloud serving and everything for the better of technology and stuff. Luckily, everything we are far more equipped in 2020 than we would have been in year 2000. I think overall, I think it is going to give us opportunities for new businesses to be found and opportunity for creative people to succeed.
Thank you, Rajiv. Vinod, your last parting comments, probably. Vinod? Okay, I think Vinod is facing some technical challenge. Arun, go ahead.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Atul, I think we are probably treading a completely uncharted territory, uncharted waters in terms of economy, parenting, education, across spectrum. And as a company, we have one motto to which we always stay true to, which is putting the child first, putting the child's interest before everything else. And this is something that is a core of everything that we do, from design to logistic to support to learning, everything that we do. And I think if I view the whole scenario with that lens, the only thing that I would say is, I think this is a year where you should just consider safety first, safety and health, and especially of the youngest children, I mean the youngest of the citizens, the children. And if I look at safety first, I think I think this panel has, investors, entrepreneurs, probably people in policy, K-12. I would say anything that we do, anything that we want to create, anything that we want to accelerate, I would suggest, view it with the lens of, is this safe given the current circumstances? Is this right for the child? Is this safe for the child? And I think these things, maybe over the next 6 months to 12 months may or may not create values, but over a long term, such things will create a lot of value in the ecosystem and will make, I would say, a lot of permanent changes in the organization, in the ecosystem. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Arun. That's important. Safety first. You can keep doing business. Vinod is back. Vinod, you would want to give some parting comments?
Yeah, I think I'm praying for this COVID to go away soon, and let's all get back to business. So from our end, we'll be doing a lot more content for the kids, more structured, more educational as well. So we have all those plans in place, and luckily, as Rajiv, figured out, we also figured out for a way to, make our employees, work from home. So we are with our 70 to 80% capacity as of today. So I think the goal is to do a lot more content, more engaging and entertaining, and as well as educational. So that's what we are going to keep doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Atul, of course, I hope everyone stays safe and families stay fine and our team stays safe. But I do think we're at the cusp of an absolutely incredible opportunity. from a digital perspective. So far, if you think about it, our lives as parents have been into silos, right? There's been sort of the doctor touch point and the health wellness touch point for my child and for me through my pregnancy. And then there's been an education touch point, and never have the twain met. Right now with a digital platform, and I think we're sort of really integrating that on Baby Chakra today. What we're seeing is actually we can go longitudinally with a parent through her journey of pregnancy, early childcare and parenting, and really sort of customize and tailor make solutions, and at very critical points in digital add value to her life. Right, of pregnancy, be it through a health or a wellness intervention or through, a knowledge intervention as the case might be. And again, when a child is born, what are the kind of interventions a child would need, right? So I think the fact that today as a nation, we're moving to digital transformation with such agility and with such an urgency, I think it's an incredible opportunity for platforms like ours. And I think the second thing I want to leave behind here is this is the time for partnerships. This is a time for collaboration. Right, we're all in this together. We're in the eye of the storm, and it's a great time to partner together, and not just from a platform perspective, but also parents, educators, healthcare professionals, to come together and really create a comprehensive solution for our kids. Because this is really, like, I think the future is in jeopardy at this point in time if that doesn't happen. So I think that's where I'd really leave us at, on a hopefully positive note.
Yes, Naya, that is a positive note. And in fact, I have received a question right now saying that why don't you also integrate teachers in your platform?
We do. Absolutely, we do. We're an executive. I mean, we're a part of the Early Childhood Association, which is the largest conglomeration of preschools, play schools, and daycares in the country. We're very actively involved with working in the ECA on formulating guidelines, because there are no guidelines that exist for early childhood education,
Right.
Especially digital, right? So we actually represent the voice of parents in a very meaningful way. We have teachers and sort of top educationalists come on our platform and sort of work with parents on formulating, the right sort of care protocols and guidelines and advisories with parents, right? So we actually work very extensively with teacher associations and with preschool associations.
Well, that answers the question. Thank you very much, Naya, and thank you very much all the panel members as well as the participants. It was a great session, quite insightful, and I hope probably post today's session, there will be some relief for our toddlers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Atul.
Thank you so much, Atul.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks to all.